Hello, MCU fans. Today we're going to be breaking down What If an Immersive Story. So when this first was announced, I was really excited to know, will this game teach us more about the multiverse? Is it canon? How does the game work, etc. Well, several people have done online walkthrough videos where they go through the whole game. So I've captured a lot of screenshots and I will summarize the overall story, as well as focus on this question of, is it canon or not? And I really want your opinion as well. I read and respond to all the comments. So there will be lots of spoilers for the game, but as long as you're okay with that, then let's dive right in and see what we can find out. We've now entered June, so we have a new contest. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment, and you can win a book or a steelbook. Best of luck. And that means we need to announce our May winner or winners because I've not heard back from March, and after 60 days, I pick an alternate winner. So our May winner is JRev, who left this great comment on the X-Men 97 episode 10 video. And the alternate March winner is Cocolab Music, who left this comment on my Deadpool and Wolverine breakdown. So for both of you, you can head to the About section of my channel, reach out on Discord or email, and I'll get you your prize right away. Also, we do have a membership option in case you want to help me with my goal of doing this full-time one day. But honestly, no matter how you support the channel, it's all truly appreciated. Leaving comments, liking videos, or subscribing, those things go a long way too. So thank you so much. So it's important to point out about this game right off the bat that it is an immersive experience. I mean, legit, the Watcher shows up in your living room and recruits you to be the main character in this adventure. You are the main hero. In fact, here's another example of him showing up in someone else's living room. They have a really cool Stormtrooper helmet there. Love it. So it's Earth, present day, and the Watcher shows up. I'm bringing this up because it's very, very different than other canon games like the Star Wars games. Those have been set up front to be canon by Star Wars, and you play a character in the actual game, Cal Kestis in this case. And there are cutscenes so you know specifically what is canon and what is not, right? This immersive game is very different because you're playing you, and it's unclear whether Marvel wants this to be canon or not. So we'll continue to talk about that as we go through this. All right, so the story is that you're going to help defeat some multiversal villains. There's a mask character, which we'll learn more about there on the left, Hela and Thanos, and they each have stolen different Infinity Stones. So the Watcher explains that there's a prophecy that speaks of the Soul Stone choosing a hero. This is something new we've never heard before, but that the Soul Stone can pick someone, and out of every single soul in the multiverse, you have been chosen. So again, you are the main hero. Keep that in mind. But you don't know anything about magic, right? So the Watcher brings in Wong. Now, Wong is not happy, right? He's got his spell book and says, absolutely not. You want me to give these spells to this person? But the Watcher explains we have to do it, that the multiverse is in danger. So Wong finally gives up and says, fine. Well, long before he forged the eye, the great sorcerer Agamotto created the Hand of Agamotto. So this is very important. It's a spell crafted to contain all 6 Infinity Stones. In fact, we see it here. He's holding it right there. And it allows the chosen sorcerer to use the stones in every reality across the multiverse. So they keep bringing up the word multiverse, and as you know from many videos that I've done, it is a bit of a confusing term. When they use multiverse as a term, what are they referring to? Well, here's the thing. We know that if we're going to use these stones across every reality, they need to all be branched off each other. Because in Infinity War, Wong, the same Wong, explains the Infinity Stones control an essential aspect of reality. So, for example, a paint universe has a very different reality stone. So when they're referring to multiverse here, I personally believe they're referring to the multiverse that is a collection of the what-if stories. So, like in the timeline book, they have canonized the fact that there's a main timeline running across the middle, right, that middle blue line, and off of that branches the universes for each episode. So the Watcher continues to refer to this as the multiverse. But it's not the entire multiverse, right? It's not the paint universe, it's not the cube universe, it's just the main 616 and its branches, which collectively is the tree. Remember, because we saw in What If Season 2 that this Loki's tree was being viewed by the Watcher. So, okay, that's what they must be referring to, right? So it's the far right. It's the far right where we see the 616 universe and the branched universes off of it. They're not referring to paint and animated and 838, right? Because Wanda couldn't even go to 838. It's a totally separate universe. So that's just really keep that in mind. But this multiverse term can be very, very confusing. All right, so Wong complains because he says, man, this training is going to take too long. Learning to use even a single Infinity Stone could take years. All 6 could take decades. And by the way, notice we are given the Soul Stone there by the Watcher, because the Watcher brought it. Remember, it was the Prophecy Stone, and notice it's now inside the hand of Agamotto. But Wong is saying, hey, it's going to take too long, way too long. But the Watcher says they don't have that kind of time. So Wong just sighs and says, fine, give me 5 minutes. That's funny. That's funny. But it is true. Now it's time to do your training, and Wong takes you to another universe, which we'll get more into that in a second, and you learn magic. It's pretty cool. But again, I want to stress, you're just a dude that was on your couch that's now learning magic. But anyway, he points out that this universe that they're in was pretty much destroyed by the Space Stone because it was locked away after causing the destruction that we see here. And he hands us the Space Stone. So notice now in our little hand of Agamotto, we now have 2 stones. So yay. And then, this is very, very important. He says there's a spell that is devastating and not to be taken lightly. With this, you'll be taking a life and trapping it inside the Soul Stone for eternity. So yeah, we're now learning that there's a spell that can literally send someone into basically Soul World. Interesting, right? New canon again, but that's fine. Okay, so then he says, you may need this later. And notice he puts this book on this statue and now wants us to practice sending the statue to the Soul Stone. And this is very important. It will definitely come up later. I love the statue too. It says, do what I say or you'll probably die. In fact, you most likely will die. Too funny. But so we practice sending stuff to the Soul World. Notice, boom. So in fact, that's, the real person's hands, right, playing the game. So it's really cool. It's a very cool game. All right, so that's been sent off to the Soul World. Now, what I want to stress is there is something very strange. I really want your opinion on this. When they go to the different universes, they're labeled as the location, New York, and then timeline, and it's given a number. What does that mean? Let me just tell you up front, the game does not explain it, and no one even refers to it. Like Wong doesn't say, we're now in timeline 724. The Watcher doesn't say, now I'm sending you to timeline 724. In fact, every place they go, Titan, Siberia, nowhere, gets a timeline number. We're going to talk a lot more about this. This is probably the most confusing thing about the game. Now, in Loki, we know that each of the branches were given a number, but they all started with 616, right? 616 dot blah, 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 blah. But that's how the TVA numbered them. In this case, we don't know who's numbering them. I mean, Marvel Studios is numbering them, right? The creators of the game. We don't know. It's just never referenced. But I can imagine that the TVA was focused only on the 616 numbering, and now somebody else numbering each of the branched universes comes up with different numbers. What I don't think is these are numbers like Universe 838, where we met the Illuminati and Multiverse of Madness. I don't think that's what they're trying to say. These are connected, branched universes off of 616. Anyway, very confusing in my opinion, but we'll come back to it, I promise. All right, so now, off to battle Thanos, who is on timeline, notice the 351, like we said. So what's the deal with Thanos? Well, this is really cool. Notice it's Centurion Danvers, normally Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, who's now working for Xandar. She says, on behalf of the Nova Corps, we remand the prisoner, Thanos of Titan, and present him for summary judgment. So what was it he did? He attacked Xandar in an attempt to steal the Reality Stone. So at least in this universe, they had the Reality Stone on Xandar. Well, Star Fox shows up to speak in support of Thanos, which is cute. But, of course, everything breaks down, and we end up with fisticuffs. No surprise, right? So Captain Marvel takes on Thanos while we make sure that we retrieve a new stone, the Reality Stones. Now we have 3, right? And then finally, we send Thanos off to the Soul World. So we use our spell and get rid of him. So we're going to see that everything just keeps getting collected into the Soul World. All right, so then off to our second universe, off to fight a mystery villain. We're going to learn more about who this masked villain is. We're in Siberia, timeline 926. We learn that there is no Captain America, and therefore every country sought out power. With every country out for themselves, they discovered a power that could alter the fate of the universe. So what is that power? It's the Power Stone, right? At this very moment, someone is coming to claim it. And who is it? It's our masked character, who we're going to learn more about again in just a minute. But he says, give me the stone. And he is just listed as Bandaged Man. That's funny. So While we're entering this universe, Red Guardian shows up and says, finally, back up. So we're basically helping the Red Guardian protect the Power Stone from this mystery person. So once again, they head off and do fisticuffs. While we also do the battle. And again, I want to stress, if I don't say it enough, it is a really cool game. I mean, you get to interact and fight, and it's just very cool. But as a result, you grab now the Power Stone. So we got 4, so that's great. But then we also discover the identity of the Masked Man. It happens to be someone very familiar. Notice Steve Rogers. So not Captain America, and that's important. We'll learn more about him a little bit later and why he's not Captain America. But notice he looks in this glass encasement there and sees Bucky and realizes it's him. But ultimately, we capture the Masked Man and we send him to the Soul World. And now, as we leave, Red Guardian's like, hey, wait, come back. Why are you taking the stone? And I have this idea. We should start a super team, which that will come up later again. So pretty cute. But yeah, he's not happy we took the stone. So very interesting. All right. Then finally, we go on our last universe, which is Nowhere, timeline 657, because Wong explains the time stone has been stolen. And then we see it is the Collector. What a surprise, right? Collector always shows up when we're talking Infinity Stones. And he says, are you sure I can't convince you to stay? I always have more work for someone with your skill set and, shall we say, flexible morality. So who's he talking to? Hela. And I think in particular, it's a young Hela. I'm going to guess maybe adolescent, maybe young teenage Hela, but we'll get to why in a second. So Hela says, stop stalling. I could just take what's mine, but I don't want your blood all over my boots. So notice she's got mercy. She's a little different Hela than we've met before. The Collector says, fine, give me the stone, and I will return your most valuable possession. And notice, it's Fenris. And in fact, she refers to him as, her refers to her as Fen. So yeah, just the fact that she has that little nickname for Fenris makes me think that she's probably an adolescent Hela. But anyway, we'll get to more on that later. So now, once again, you join in the conflict. You're fighting off the goons of the Collector, which is pretty cool. And you collect the time stones. Now we got 5 of them. And then, interesting situation. Poor Fenris is shot in the middle of the battle. And Hela says, please, she's dying. Will you help? And of course, how can you help? Well, by rewinding time. So that's a little questionable, right, to use the time stone to do that. And Wong is not happy. Wong says, I fear the consequences of your actions. And then finally, it's been a while. Look who shows back up. It's the Watcher. But he's a little sus because the Watcher says, Wong, what good is power if we can't even save the ones we hold dearest? Wait a minute. What? The Watcher? Saying it's okay to intervene? That is pretty suspicious, and Wong catches on. Wong says, the Watcher I know would never advocate for such interference. So it turns out it is not the Watcher all along. It is actually Wanda Maximoff. Notice the magic spell wears away, and it's Wanda. Wild. I'll give him credit. That was a surprise. I did not see that coming. It turns out it was Wanda all along. So Wong says, you're causing grave damage to the multiverse. Why? And then I just wanted you to see this shot because I think it's a really cool look at her outfit. Never seen one like that quite before. Maybe it's in the comics and I just haven't seen it, but I like it. It's a cool outfit. But she justifies herself by saying damage. The multiverse is already broken. But with these, because she now takes the stones from you, I can build a better one, a perfect one. Haven't you ever dreamed of a second chance? Yes, the hero of the multiverse was a lie, but it worked, she says. So she's looking right at us, right at you, saying, hey, it was a lie from the beginning. You're not the hero of the multiverse. Instead, you were kind of my patsy, right? I tricked you into getting all the stones because you wanted to play the hero so badly, and you brought the stones right to me. So yeah, kind of frustrating. You're like, doggone it, Wanda. I want to like you. I really like Wanda, but man, she just totally snookered us. But anyway, she now sends Wong off to the Soul World. Poor Wong. She sends Hela off to the Soul World. And yes, she turns to us and sends us to the Soul World as, boom, we are encased. And when we wake up, we're in the Soul World. And look who's here. Vision is here. Vision, we've not seen up to this point, is hanging out in Soul World. He says, welcome to the world inside the Soul Stone. My name is Vision, and I see you've already met my wife, Wanda. Yes, we have. She sent us here. So then Vision helps us understand the motivations behind each of these supposed villains we've been fighting. Because remember, they're all trapped in here with us. So Hela, we learn, Fenris was my only friend in that big dingy place. My father didn't care. He wanted a warrior, not a daughter. Odin banished Fenris, but if dear old dad thought that I would fall in line, well, he was wrong. I spent eons scouring the 9 realms until I found Fenris. She'd been captured by the Collector, so we struck a deal. So you kind of understand, oh, okay, that's why she did it. Interesting. As for Captain America, or I should just say Steve, because he never assumed the Captain America role, he was badly injured in the process. Notice that red, that is like a scar all over his body. Because there was an accident. And so he's just really, in fact, you see his hand there is red. So instead, he finds that they don't want him to be Captain America because that had an image of an ideal super soldier, and I wasn't it. So he bandages himself up. But here we can see him without the bandages and reveals his face and the scarring. But then he says, I never expected to find my friend Bucky, frozen after all these years. I can't leave things as they are. I have to get back somehow. And then, yes, even Thanos. They make us feel sorry for Thanos. He says, my homeworld, Titan, was dying. And it was dying in particular from starvation. He says, they called me mad. Well, true madness would have been to see all this death and to do nothing. Interesting. So he says, I needed the stone not to end life, but to save it. Without it, my planet has no future. So yeah, even Thanos had good intentions. So then, believe it or not, they even find a way to make us feel sorry for Wanda. So Vision explains, Wanda and I were happy at first, but then the Mind Stone began to die, taking me with it. No matter what we tried, there was no cure. My death was a constant, an absolute point. Interesting. There's that absolute point being brought up again, right? I love that concept. It was mentioned, obviously, in the Doctor Strange episode of What If, which I'm sure you've seen that and you know that. But then they take it a step further. Wanda then went beyond the universe into the multiverse itself. So she went to all the different branched What If universes, every single one of them, trying to solve the problem, and she couldn't. Again, we know they must be talking about the main 616 and its branches because Wanda can't go to 838, right? We learned that in Multiverse of Madness. So again, I want to stress they are clearly talking about 616 and the What If branches, but she could not find a solution anywhere. And I think that's interesting because in X-Men 97, we learned of the same concept. Beast mentioned the mystics of Kamar-Taj speak of absolute points, events that occur across all timelines. So all universes, basically. So yeah, this idea of it's not just an absolute point in one universe or one timeline, it's all of them. So, therefore, Wanda decided she will use the stones to build a new multiverse. So, in my mind, a new tree, right? She's going to redo Loki's tree. And she will do it on top of the ashes of the old, destroying countless lives in the process, even if she does not see it that way. So, now we see how important something Wong did way back at the beginning, right? When he sent this statue and the book to the Soul World. He says, well, regardless, I was suspicious when the Watcher was acting unusual. So I had our hero here prepare an escape. Now, here's what's wild. Not only does this book let them escape the Soul World, but look where they show up. They are now where Wanda is, outside of the multiverse, in the space between universes, or multiverses, I should say, in this case. And Wanda is reshaping it. Wong says, what have you done? And then here's a better look at it. Wanda says, together we can set the multiverse right. So again, I really want your opinion on this. Please leave comments. But I think this is effectively Loki's tree, and she has, rebuilt it. I mean, made a mess out of it, but because she can't go to 838, she can't go to the Paint universe. We learned that. So this can only be something she can control and where the Infinity Stones all work. And they would work in every branch of Loki's tree because they all come from the same trunk, the same main 616. So now we move to a boss battle. One of the cool things I thought was this arrow that you're able to shoot, this mystic arrow. I think that's just really cool. But then also, while we're fighting Wanda, we're slowly recapturing the stones from her, one at a time, getting each one back. Wanda says, I've seen suffering in your world. You should want a new one. So Wanda tries to make it personal, right? This isn't just me doing this for me and Vision. I'm doing this for you. You should want this. But Wong tries to do it as well and does a better job and says, remember, this isn't her universe, it's yours. Meaning your universe is at stake here. You need to do something about it. Don't let her make this about her. This is about you. You need to fight her back. So I don't quite know what she does here, and they don't really explain it in the game. In fact, Wanda even goes, "What's happening?" But I think these are different pieces of the multiverse, different universes, shards from them, and she's being blasted by all of them because in the end, and by the way, you do this. This is, again, very interactive and cool game. You make this happen. But anyway, Wong says, "I have never seen anything like that. You fractured her power across the multiverse." Interesting statement. I would love to unpack that and know more about that, but they don't really go into it. But okay, so now Wanda is powerless, has given up, but Vision says, "I believe there's a place where my soul can live on." And of course, where is that? Back in the soul world, right? Where he was before. But, he would be alone, right? Nope. Wanda says, no, he won't be alone because I'm going to go with him. So she's willing to make that sacrifice and just hang out in the soul world with him. So Wanda says, "I'm sorry, Vision, for what I've done." And I love this. Vision says, "My love, a broken heart casts a spell even more powerful than the Scarlet Witch." So while it seems like it would be kind of awful going to the soul world, Wong at least suggests that it's possible that you can shape your own reality there, that they may be able to do that. And we kind of saw it, right? We saw Thanos when he was briefly in the soul world. So it's not as bleak as it seems, is the bottom line. All right, but now the Watcher, the real Watcher, I should say, says, "You have fought valiantly as any hero I've ever seen, but this story isn't over. These events have left the multiverse at an absolute point." So we have another absolute point. One absolute point was Vision's death, which they've resolved that. They cannot fix him. He just has to go to the soul world. But now you, the main star of the game, have a decision to make. Do you destroy the stones, which you can see on the left? I guess it's the Watcher's right, but our left. And on the right, you can see the other option, which is to return the stones back to where they came, which would mean everybody would get their stones back. Thanos would get his reality stone, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to make that choice. So we're going to look at both choices, but I will point out this is another reason why it's tough for an immersive game to be canon, because what is the canon choice, right? They don't really tell you. But nonetheless, the first choice, as you can see by this gentleman snapping, is to send the stones back. So let's see what happens if you choose to return the stones. Well, Thanos saves his world, but then he, quote unquote, saves the universe. So to save the entire universe, he decides to fulfill his destiny, and he basically becomes the same evil Thanos that we see in Infinity War and Endgame. So yeah, once he has power, it's not enough just to fix his universe. He has to fix everything. So, all right, bad news, basically. This is even worse, I guess, in a way, because you could have seen this coming, right? Steve gives the stone over to S.H.I.E.L.D., but that's not going to end well, right? Steve Rogers entrusted the Power Stone to S.H.I.E.L.D., and with it, they won the war. His well-intentioned choice ended the super soldier threat abroad, only to unleash it back home. Because, anytime S.H.I.E.L.D. has power, there's a good chance it's going to be used incorrectly. So, yikes. And then Hela, her story doesn't turn out well either, because, sure, she saves Fenris and decides it's time for the two of them to return home, but ultimately, in the end, the All-Father got the warrior he always wanted. So she fulfills that evil destiny and becomes, Hela the Destroyer, basically. So, yikes. By returning the stones, bad things happened. And the Watcher lets you know that. He's not too thrilled with your choice. He says, as for you, you've made a dangerous choice, creating a new timeline with unforeseen repercussions. And I am not the only one watching, he says. So keep in mind, we created a new timeline. So who else is watching? Miss Minutes jumps in and says, hey, y'all. So, okay, it's starting to get crazy now, right? I didn't know the Watcher and Miss Minutes hung out. I guess they do. I guess they head out for coffee every Tuesday. I don't know, right? And believe me, it's going to get worse because we're going to soon see her monitor showing up, which we'll get to in a second, but this is a real clear view of it. And notice it's showing the sacred timeline. I thought we were done with that now. And it's showing Lamentus. So, probably that's just an error, but it's a weird error. I mean, or this is before the end of Loki season 1, really. I mean, they weren't looking at Lamentus until like season 1. So this is forever ago. I think it was just a mistake, but we're going to see there's just several odd things going on here. But anyway, so then Miss Minutes says pruning that branch and being done with it is the right way to do things. Wait a minute, what? They're not pruning anymore. They said they're not going to prune anymore. We learned that at the end of Loki season 2. And again, why is Miss Minutes being the representative for the TVA? So Well, let's get to one more thing, and then I'll tell you what I think is really going on here. All right, so Miss Minutes says, the Watcher says, wait, no, they're the hero of the multiverse. You can't just prune them, which is good, right? We don't want to be pruned. So Miss Minutes says, fine. Let me then come up with a different idea. Let me introduce you to your new coworker. So now the monitor changes over to show us a Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. Yeah, they're legit just showing us a trailer. It's funny. It's new footage, by the way. I mean, you can tell by Deadpool kind of bending over that it's got a couple inappropriate jokes in it. In fact, here he's saying, slide into my DM. I'm just going to leave that right there. But yeah, basically, this has come down to them promoting Deadpool and Wolverine, which, by the way, I have no issue with. That's great. Please promote it. I want it to make $1 billion, right? But I don't think any of this is meant to be canon. There's just no way, right? Why is Miss Minutes talking to the Watcher? Why are she still pruning? Why did they show Lamentus? Why is she showing us a trailer from Deadpool and Wolverine? I mean, yes, this might imply that they're saying that Miss Minutes controls the TVA for Loki's show, but also Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't think so, though. Anyway, she does say, we don't need a hero per se. What I need is an agent. So you are basically being enlisted to go be part of Deadpool and Wolverine's movie, I guess. So anyway, let me know your thoughts, but I don't think any of that's canon. It's funny. It was enjoyable, but I don't think it's canon. All right, so now, what if we go back, though, and we choose to destroy the stones? Remember, our choice was to return them. What if we now choose instead to destroy them? Well, this time, Thanos, without the Reality Stone, returns as a leader rather than a warrior, because instead he decides to solve the problems by leadership. So very cool. That worked out. Cap, on the other hand, with not giving the Power Stone over, instead forms a League of Heroes owned by no nation. So yeah, there's Bucky, Red Guardian working with him, and of course Cap. Very cool. And then Hela may have lost Fenris, since she didn't have the Time Stone to barter away and get him back, but she became the goddess of life. Very cool. So we see that in this case, everything worked out perfectly the way that the Watcher would have wanted, the way that we would have wanted. And in fact, because of what a good job we did in making the right choice, we're introduced to Captain Carter. And Captain Carter decides to throw us her shield, and then I thought this was really cool. Boom, you catch the shield. That is really neat, right? And here's the dude kind of looking it over and checking it out, looking at both sides of it. I thought that was really cool. So now basically you have been enlisted by the Watcher and Captain Carter, I assume, to be part of their team. I don't know. And they don't really say what you're going to do next, but certainly you at least get to spend some time with them, which is cool. So there you go. That is the game. Now, let's talk about this question of, is it canon? I'm going to just say up front, no, I don't think it is. And here are the reasons why. So let's look through what we've learned. Number one, Marvel has just not marketed the game as canon. I mean, I would think that Feige, who is incredibly protective of MCU canon, would have said, stamped on the front of the game, this is MCU canon. I mean, like they did with the Netflix shows, right? They made it very, very clear, this is canon. So that alone makes me skeptical. Then you look at the fact that it's an immersive game. It has no story mode to indicate what is actually canon, including that decision at the end, right? Where you had two different choices you could make. That's different than the Star Wars games, which are very clear on what's canon with the cutscenes. So yeah, in fact, keep in mind, the Star Wars games are made by the same company as this game, Disney overall, right? So Disney knows how to make canon games. And so I just don't think they tried to make this one canon. Keep in mind, a random person, us, is just chosen off the couch to save the multiverse. It's a fun story, but there's no way that's canon. You're taught magic from scratch. You had no idea how to do magic. And I know Ned learned how to do it quickly in No Way Home. I get that. We're talking you managed to use all the Infinity Stones throughout and save the multiverse. That's different than what Ned did. Anyway, we learned about spells that trap you in Soul World and let you escape. I guess, right? It's all new knowledge, right? But the big one is the final battle is outside the multiversal tree. They're like out in the limbo between different multiverses. They can breathe and fight, and yeah. And then remember, the final decision is indeed interactive, meaning we don't know what the canon decision was, although presumably it's destroying the stones. The Watcher and Miss Minutes are now acquaintances. I don't know. It's clever. It was funny, but there's no way that's canon. Miss Minutes basically acts as if she represents the TVA. I mean, she's the one that shows up in your living room, right? She mentions pruning you, and she has an out-of-date screen still showing Lamentus. There's no way Feige would allow those continuity errors to get in. It's just something fun, right? I'm not even knocking the game that it has those quote-unquote errors. They're not errors. It's just a fun scene that's not canon. And we get a trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine? No, that would not happen. That would just simply not happen. But I think the biggest thing that really throws me off is we never learn who's numbering those branched universes as timelines. So all these other things tell me there's no way it's canon, but I do have to wonder, is this something we're supposed to take away from the game? So will we ever see this type of numbering again? My guess is no. To me, it feels like there was just like Feige and Marvel Studios was like, hey, you guys do whatever you want. Here's the basic story of how the multiverse works, and you can do what you want with it. And so they decided they needed to number these so you could say, are you done with timeline 724? No, I'm still working on that, blah, blah, blah. That's the only way I can explain it. So we'll wait and see. Maybe we'll see other entities numbering timelines. But now, as you know, it's not the Watcher that was doing it. Remember, Wanda was pretending to be the Watcher. So is Wanda numbering these? Is Wong numbering them? I don't think so. I don't think anybody is. I think it's just a fun little thing they put in the game. So there you go. That is my opinion about the game. I think it's a great game. I think that anybody that has the money to afford it, not me, should play it. It looks like fun, but I don't think we can consider it canon. Leave me your thoughts. I really do want to know what you think. So remember, June contest, be a subscriber, leave a comment, win a book or a steel book. And of course, we have the membership option in case you're interested in that. And then I always like to bring up the Discord. In fact, here we are in particular talking about the game. So really want you to come out and join us. And I want to do a big shout out to two server members in particular, Gerber's Quest and Corey the Watcher 213. I think it would be an understatement to say that we don't agree. That Gerber Quest and Corey the Watcher have very different views on the game and how it's all laid out. And so I really, really appreciate that they've taken a long time. I mean, our conversations have gone on for hours sometimes about the different ways to view all this. I may not agree with them, but I learn every time I talk to them. So I truly appreciate folks like you two. Thank you, Gerber. Thank you, Corey. You guys rock. So if you'd like to join the Discord server, I will leave a pinned comment so you can join. We'd love to have you. 1,300 members across the globe, conversations 24/7, just like this. Also, if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we'll all continue to enjoy the ever-growing, ever-changing Marvel Cinematic Universe.